I believe that hot and rich is out for 2025 and classically beautiful and wealthy are in. Welcome to Old Money, a show dedicated to helping you build the trust fund you wish you were born with. Ladies who lunch, listen up. Life is not about looking rich. I want you to build a life and a legacy that feels rich in every sense of the word. If you're ready to stack cash, talk shop, and trade insider secrets, you're in the right place. These are the new rules to old money, so let's get after it. Okay, rich girls, it's all happening. Cash Consciousness is now enrolling through January 14th. This is my signature program with hours and hours of private content exclusively for the Cash Consciousness babes. If you're craving more than just the podcast and you're looking for support to actually execute on your goals, actually implement new strategies, and start programming your brain to think like a wealthy woman, I designed this program for you. I've got 8 modules with dozens of videos that go through the 7 dimensions of money. We're talking about the damage, the dialogue, the destination, using your diary, designing the life of your dream, all the details, and most importantly, the dating. So I'm giving you the actual program that I use to manage my money every single month easily. And it's the thing that helps me finally break through overspending and also 2000x my net worth. Speaking of overspending, I'm throwing that in as a bonus. Yeah, there's a bonus module in there on how to stop overspending for good. So you're going to get guided meditations, a community, live money dates, the whole 9 yards. And when you do the math, it breaks out to just over $40 a month for access into this community where you will be committed and supported to changing your financial life. We are starting on the evening of January 14th with a live kickoff call. All of the updates will get sent out to our crew in the Old Money Country Club where this program is hosted. If you're ready to register, you can go to oldmoneypodcast.com/cash and click the link on the page. Again, that's oldmoneypodcast.com/cash. It doesn't matter what level of wealth you're at today. This is more than a financial reset. We're going over old money stories, how to reprogram them, how wealthy women think about the world, how to design your personal financial system, how to have productive conversations with your partner about money, all of it. Again, enrollment is open until January 14th, oldmoneypodcast.com/cash. I love you guys so much, and I cannot wait to see you in there. Happy New Year, rich girls. Welcome back to Old Money, the podcast for women building the trust funds they wish they were born with. I'm your host. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, baby. It's Amber Frankusen. I'm so excited to jump into this with you. I hope you had a fantastic holiday season and are coming into the new year refreshed, revitalized. This is kind of, if you're listening to it when the episode drops, this is kind of like the first week back, like the real week back. I kind of love how the holidays shook out this year. It was kind of giving us 2 weeks of no working, where we're kind of working, but like nobody's really there answering emails. Maybe people are taking vacation on the week of New Year's or Christmas. And so I feel like there's that like corporate gray area that I really hope that you milked. But if you are feeling overwhelmed, everybody's yelling at you to set new goals, do new things, this is the episode that you need to just have a little bit of fun with me, get back into that old money mindset, and let's just have a kiki and talk about wealthy women. I mean, if you're listening to this episode, if you're a follower, a friend, a downloader, a subscriber, a reviewer, a lover of Old Money Podcast, you already are a wealthy woman. So hello, lovely to be with you. But when I'm talking about wealthy women, I have this like archetype in my head, right? It's like Nicole Kidman on any of the HBO or Netflix specials that she's on. I'm talking about Lily Woodsen of Gossip Girl, of course. She is the epitome of old money, or even like Margo Tenenbaum or Shiv on Succession, like all of these women, all of these archetypes that we think that we envision. And I'm back on a reading kick. I don't know what happened to me in 2024, but I just could not pick up a book and keep it up. I was abandoning books left, right, and center. And over the holiday, I got back into reading and doing some of those fun, like thrillers that are just easy to digest. And they always have to do with families with money. I don't know if that's just my genre, if you're in that with me, but I'm talking about that refined, quintessential old money woman who's playing tennis in the morning and golf in the afternoon. She's probably having an affair with her personal trainer. She's always involved in some sort of murder scheme, or she might end up dead. But this woman who is in all of these like literary fiction moments is what I've been thinking about a lot recently. Now, I'm not trying to end up dead or have any of us end up at that fate, but I started to think about this character that continues to come through in all of these books. And by the way, I do have a list of old money books somewhere on Instagram. If you need me to repost that, send me a DM right now. Open Instagram, go to Old Money Podcast on Instagram and tell me I need to repost it. But I did just read a book that I loved. It was called Look Closer by David Ellis. It's an interesting, lots of twists and turns, but it's an interesting thriller. And the main character is one of these kind of like old money women. I won't tell you what happens to her, but they're all the same. And I was thinking about it. Okay, what is it that all of these women have in common? What makes them old money? And of course, there's the whole caricature, right? Whether it's the pearls or the Chanel suit or the handbag that they carry. But I wanted to advance the conversation and make this meaningful and value driven for us to have a conversation about what do old money women do that other people don't? What sets old money women apart? What are the habits, the traits, the mindsets, the things that they do, say, think, or be that makes them an old money woman? So I have 15 things. Some of them we've literally never talked about before, including this first one. So let's jump into 15 traits of wealthy women. So the first one on the list is posture. This has been inspired by my friend, Marina Schifferman, who is a real estate agent in San Francisco. She and I met through 10th House, a female founder collective cohort. She's also an entrepreneur, but you probably are like, what does this have to do with posture? Does she have great posture? She does. And why is that? Because she used to be a ballerina. And she's actually recently started a new company called Together in Luxury. And I want to shout her out, where she's connecting professional ballerinas with marketing agencies or production companies to get them into commercial videos and things like that. But it made me think about wealthy women have the best posture. You're never going to see a wealthy, confident woman walk into a room and have her head curled down like a shrimp, looking at her phone or digging in her purse. A wealthy woman's going to enter a room and own it. She's going to have her head held high, her shoulders pulled back, and her eyes are going to scan the room looking for the host or the person that she's going to meet. But she doesn't avert eyes with anyone. She's confident and she makes eye contact with anyone who looks at her. And typically, wealthy women are the type of women who are going to magnetize and attract eyeballs on them, not just because of the way that they look or the bag that they're carrying, but because of the body awareness. Body language in general is such a powerful way to communicate with people. And what we see with wealthy women is that a lot of them have grown up with dance classes like ballet or ballroom dance, or they've gone to cotillion or they've done a debutante ball, and they've gone through these kind of regimented lessons about posture and body positioning and things of that nature. So when I see Marina, for example, when I see Marina's Together in Luxury Instagram page, which if you have any appreciation for ballet, you should follow. It's a beautiful follow. You see the body posture of all of these people, all of these ballerinas, dancers, etc., and they look like wealthy, polished women. So body awareness and posture is the number one thing that I think that wealthy women do that a lot of people overlook. So if you are trying to improve your posture, there's a couple of things that I would recommend. Number one is there's this posture trainer brace that you can buy on Amazon. It's like $15. I've had it before and it's amazing. It kind of goes on like a backpack, like think like old JanSport backpack. And it just kind of braces your shoulders and pulls your shoulders back. And more than anything, it's just a reminder for me to like watch my posture. Do you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really train you to do anything except it reminds you to keep your posture up nice and tight. And I'll usually wear it, I don't know, every 6 months or so when I've gotten out of the habit, or if I've spent too much time at my desk and I haven't trained my back and chest, I'm going to need to wear it to kind of reset again. But it's been a huge help for me to really just be aware of my body. The other recommendation that I would make would be doing some yoga. Yoga is actually fantastic for posture, and you can do it at any level, but doing things like cat cows or downward dogs, little things like that will help get your body into alignment. And there's a lot of really easy exercises like mobility exercises that you can do also to improve your posture. So I know we're all shrimping over our phones and computers all the time. Make sure you have your ergonomics all set up in your office. If you're working at a desk, you need to be comfortable and you need to have your computers at eye level. It will also help your eyesight, by the way, because not having good eyesight is not chic, and take it from a girl who has a literal -8 prescription. I wish I was kidding. So posture is the first thing that a wealthy woman pays attention to, and an easy thing that you can work on if you want to set an easy goal for yourself this year. The second item on the list is related but different. And the second item that I call out is poise, which is different than posture. To me, poise is like social grace. And there is so much value in social grace and how you make other people feel. The emphasis here is the demonstration of just good manners and tact and the ability to navigate social situations smoothly without being flustered or aggressive or reactive. I think that people that have good social grace and poise, like going back to Lily Woodsen, no matter how awkward anything was, you're able to deftly step around these social landmines. A lot of this can be attributed to just good manners, right? Being at a dinner table, knowing how to use your fork and knife appropriately, understanding how to have small talk, how to ask people questions about themselves, like how to navigate a conversation. That's one level of it, right? But the next one is the navigation of something that becomes bumpy. And I think we see this a lot, especially politics season. I know that a lot of people get offended, reactive, etc. I would say without a doubt that somebody with poise would never be talking poorly about someone else in Instagram captions or TikTok captions. You're never going to see somebody that's beautiful cutting down another woman's looks. You know what I'm saying? Like someone who's truly beautiful. As Audrey Hepburn would say, the true beauty comes from the inside. But my point is how you make other people feel in any social situation, whether it's digital or in person, or it's awkward, or it's work, or it's meeting your new in-laws. I think being able to navigate difficult situations, but still leave a positive impression is so important. I think if you're looking to improve your poise in social situations, the first thing that you can do is build your confidence. I think that confident women are able to navigate any situation because they're not reactive to any situation. They understand their values. One of their values is being emotionally calm under pressure. They're also really focused on always finding win-win situations. They understand that their energy, their speech, their tone of voice can have an impact on other people. So I think that self-awareness and building confidence hand in hand really help you demonstrate poise. And the other thing that I would say is hosting. I think that hosting people in your home is such a lovely experience if you have the ability to do so. And it's great for getting in those reps of having somebody in your home and making sure they're comfortable and you're thinking about their needs. Did you offer them a glass of water when they came in? Is your bathroom clean? Are there tissues in there? Are there hand towels for them? And starting with one or two people at a time, it gives you the reps. Just like you were in the gym lifting weights, you're not going to start by curling 150 pounds. You're going to start with the 5-pound weight. So start with one 5-pound friend that you can practice on. And I think that's a really good way to build your poise muscle, because when there's an awkward situation, it's usually the wealthy woman, the one who's most together, that all of a sudden turns the energy of the situation, takes over the conversation very elegantly, not with any type of aggression or overpowering. They just all of a sudden turn into the host. They all of a sudden are going to wrap their arms around it and turn the tenor of the conversation around. So I think that hosting is a great way to build that muscle so you can implement that when you're outside of your regular environment in the world of business or whatever else is going on. And that is a great skill to build. Now, this next one goes hand in hand with number 2. I love how these all dovetail together perfectly. It's related, but very different. It is emotional regulation. Wealthy women are emotionally regulated. Now, interestingly, in pop culture and in media, I think we see a lot of these wealthy women or old money women portrayed as very cold, unaffected. They have no emotion. They're like dead to the world. And a lot of that times in books, movies, TV, it's because they're like, on drugs or martinis or whatever. But that kind of like cold stereotype is actually really interesting. I think it's very British. And I think it's something that has kind of percolated down through pop culture. But the way that I think about it, I was thinking about the British reference is remember the mom in The Parent Trap? I'm talking about the Lindsay Lohan version. And she's going to go meet the husband again. And she's getting ready and she's trying to be calm, cool, and collected, but she's smoking a cigarette and has her hairs in rollers and she's freaking out. Typically speaking, she would be emotionally regulated, like nothing bothers her, nothing affects her. And that scene is funny because we're seeing somebody who's typically so calm, cool, and collected be completely emotionally dysregulated. But this emotional regulation is really about, again, not reacting to anything that's going on. We are not seeing wealthy women road rage in a Walmart parking lot. My mind is going to like Keira Knightley in Pride and Prejudice, right? The Jane Austen novels are all about these super strong women. And yet, even though they're experiencing emotion, the way that they're typically expressing that is through a volley of wit and words. And they're able to still maintain composure no matter how emotional the situation is. So I believe that emotional regulation is actually one of the best things that I have been working on recently because there is so much power in the pause. If you are reactive at work, at home, wherever, it is such an energy suck to just be worked up over every little thing. Justin watching football on Sundays, I've never seen that man get so worked up over every potential injury, every hard hit, every score, every not, whatever. It's so exhausting, but like he loves that adrenaline. That's why he's watching it. He's not trying to be a wealthy woman, by the way. But for me, I just think about that energy expenditure in my everyday life. If I was upset every time somebody cut me off in traffic, stop. It's ruining my day. It's not ruining their day. It's ruining my day if I get dysregulated. So if emotional regulation is something that you're trying to work on or improve, the obvious answer is the one that I hate, which is cold plunge. It is the number one reason why all these entrepreneurs are getting in freaking freezing cold water every single morning because it helps you with emotional regulation. First of all, when you do something that is so uncomfortable and so painful, especially on a regular basis, honestly, everything else becomes so much less painful in comparison because it is that painful. I'm not saying it's like painful to get in the ice bath, but it's uncomfortable, right? So your tolerance for discomfort goes up a lot. And when your tolerance for discomfort goes up, you're able to stay more emotionally regulated, even when something is severely uncomfortable, like traffic or a conversation or an argument. And the other reason why cold plunging is so important and such a technique for a lot of high performers is because it really forces you to regulate your breathing. And when you're regulating your breathing, you are actually keeping your entire nervous system calm. So if you're not interested in getting in a very cold bath, I totally relate. And I also would say, work on breathing techniques instead. There's a lot of different breathwork exercises that you can do to help focus yourself back into your body, get calm, and stay regulated. Number 4, this is a value of mine. And I think it is also a value of wealthy women. And it is that wealthy women value their time over everything. I value my time so much. I cram so much into a day for work, for this podcast, for my relationship, for my home, for my dog, for my life, for myself, that I am efficient as hell with my time. So when other people are not efficient with time, it really doesn't work for me. Now, do I get emotionally dysregulated about it? Absolutely not. I just basically have a no tolerance policy for it. If somebody misses a meeting, we were interviewing somebody for a position this last week and they blew off my HR manager and just didn't show up and then asked to reschedule. That was an immediate no for me. If you disrespect somebody else's time, it just doesn't work for me. It's a no tolerance policy. I keep a very tight schedule because other people are counting on me. My clients are counting on me. They have busy schedules with their own clients, their own patients, their own whatever. So if I'm late, if I waste their time, it's a total sign of disrespect. If somebody wastes my time, I take it that way as well. So I keep a very tight schedule. I have my Google Calendar on lock. I know exactly where to be all the time. I spend time each week making sure that it's nice and organized. There's things like drive time or rest time or lunch breaks or whatever built into my schedule. It doesn't take me more than a few minutes. And it also helps me keep the rest of my life organized. So one of my hairstylists from way back in the day, Chelsea, I love you so much. Her and I used to book out my hair appointments for the entire year at a time. I loved that because she would have all of her vacations planned. I would have all of my vacations planned. And that way, there was never a crunch right before a holiday or a vacation that I would have. And it gave us plenty of time to adjust if we needed. So if you're a small business owner and you don't have your client meetings or your client appointments scheduled out in advance, try that in 2025 because it's going to help people, number one, stay committed to you. And number two, when things are already on the calendar, usually people work around the things that are already there as opposed to trying to fit you in at the last minute. The other thing about this, about valuing my time, is that if I am not doing something that either brings me joy or brings me money, I'm not doing it. Now, does that mean I outsource all of my housekeeping? No, I do a lot of it on my own because honestly, it brings me joy. It like calms me down. I get to put some music on. It's not a big deal. But the deep clean, I'm bringing in a housekeeper to help me out with that. Or admin tasks. I'm the CEO of a company. I'm running this second company, this podcast. I have dozens of clients that are waiting for my advice, and I charge thousands of dollars for strategy, implementation, whatever it might be. So does it make sense for me to reprogram an entire Excel spreadsheet? No, absolutely not. I'm going to farm that out to somebody who is at the right time in their career to help me with that. So in valuing my time, I'm ensuring that I'm never late. I don't want to have a reputation of being late or being disrespectful. I also have a no tolerance policy for people who waste my time, miss meetings, miss schedules, things like that. Of course, there's a little bit of grace there because with Poise, you're going to be understanding when things come up, but you also hold your boundaries and you make sure that people know what your expectations are. And if they can't meet them, that's totally okay. It's just not the right fit. And then finally, really owning your Google Calendar, your schedule. This is the day and age where it doesn't make sense to have a handwritten schedule anymore. Like Google Calendar syncs all of your flights, it syncs all of your appointments. Everything goes automatically to that. So use it to your advantage. I think it's a complete waste of time to duplicate things into a handwritten notebook that you then have to carry with you all the time and doesn't update automatically. When you're living a very full, very busy life, you're going to need a tool like Google Calendar to keep you organized. So in addition to keeping all of your appointments and commitments within Google Calendar, I also set up periodic checklists or check marks that I need to get through, tasks that are set up for weekly, monthly, or maybe sometimes even daily to make sure that I don't miss anything. My time is my money. My time is the only thing that I can't get more of. So I value my time, and I know that other wealthy women do too. Okay, number 5 on the list is similar to what I mentioned in number 4, where I talked about hiring people to do things that are not a good use of my time anymore. On the opposite side of the spectrum, wealthy women hire experts, people who are better than them in different categories or different subject matters to help them advance. This is the hack, y'all. Of course, it's great to hire a housekeeper to do the things that you don't want to do. But what about hiring a financial manager to help you invest to the best of your ability, a fiduciary? Or if you're trying to homeschool your kids, and you don't have any experience in early childhood development, maybe it might be more efficient for you to hire a tutor. Every wealthy woman has a personal trainer or a tennis coach or a golf coach. They're going to hire somebody for lessons for their kids. They're going to invest money in people that they can learn from. And I think the big piece of this is that we're not outsourcing responsibility. We are owning the fact that we are not subject matter experts in everything, and we are pulling in people who are in particular fields that we're looking to advance in so that we can go farther with them. A great example of this is a business coach. If you are in business and you are plateauing or you're struggling, you need to hire somebody who's going to be able to help you, because it is really hard to know how to do all of the things in business exceptionally well. And I'm talking about finance, accounting, marketing, operations, management, all of these different areas of business. When you go to get your degree in business, you usually specialize in one of those particular areas. So if you went and got a degree in accounting and nobody ever trained you on how to be a manager, how are you expected to do both accounting and management very, very well? There are two totally different sets of things you need to learn in order to do both things well. So if you're running your own business, all of a sudden you're an entrepreneur, you had a product, an idea, a service that you wanted to bring to the world, and you're expected to be expert level at all of these things? Absolutely not. So while bookkeeping can be something that you outsource because you just don't want to do it, takes up a lot of time, I'm talking about hiring an expert like a CFO, a fractional CFO, or a fractional CMO, somebody who can see from the outside of your business all of the things that need to be done in order for you to have a comprehensive marketing plan or finance plan for growth and hiring and scaling or whatever that might be. In your own personal life, you might have an area that you're trying to achieve. And maybe if you're listening to this episode, you're interested in improving your personal finance skills or your money management or your money mindset. Hire an expert, find somebody who's already accomplished the things that you've done, and then learn from them. That's what this is all about. I love using my money, by the way, to support other women that are in business to either help me with things that I don't want to do anymore or in areas that I'm wanting to grow. I'm not the type of person who subscribes to every business owner always needs a business coach, but periodically I do tap into my network of business coaches and leaders, people that I know and I respect that are really good in business. This is not just a go buy from any business coach on Instagram. Like, please don't do that. But you've heard her on the show before, Jessica Marks, one of my business coaches. I'm getting to work with her again in Q1 this year because I just know I'm in this inflection point of growth in my agency. And I want somebody's outside opinion to like, where can I improve? Where can processes get better? Where can operations get better? Where can my leadership skills get better? Where can our service offerings be more clear for our clients? So I'm hiring experts who can dig into my business, understand it. And that's the thing about Jessica is she really does dig into businesses. Like a lot of people that are like, mindset coaches or life coaches, like they don't even ask you anything about your circumstances. And then they're just going to like give you advice. That's not for me. I'm talking about experts in their field that have a proven track record of success and whatever it is you're hiring them for, even if it's your tennis pro. Does your tennis pro, not did they win a lot of championships, but do they have good reviews from people who have been coached by them? Did they help people achieve the same results that you want? That's what I'm looking for. Investing money in those we can learn from is such a wealthy woman hack. So as you've set out on your 2025 goals, whatever those might be, whether it's financial or athletic, or just you want to grow your Instagram, who are you hiring that is the expert in those things and who's holding you accountable? I will tell you, I have a personal trainer, not because I don't know how to lift weights. I've been lifting weights for 13 years now. I know how to do it. My form is great. Okay. I have a personal trainer for accountability. I have a personal trainer who told me that my right foot kind of like points in when I do a forward lunge and I should watch out for that alignment. Like the little stuff. I'm talking about getting 2% better. I'm talking about accountability, and I'm talking about working with somebody lovely. And by the way, I have the best trainer now. Her name's Anna. Shout out Anna. Love her so much. If you need a referral in San Diego, I got you. The next thing that wealthy women do and value that other women do not is that wealthy women know to invest in their social network because they know that their net worth is determined by their network. And I'm also talking about being in proximity to people that you want to work with, do business with, be friends with, to people doing things, to becoming a part of the network. Now, we've seen it in pop culture, people going to the ends of the earth to try to be in the certain social circle, whether it was Jenny from Brooklyn or whatever that guy's name was in Saltburn. We're not talking about hacking your way into a social network group. Now, this is an interesting one because if you've grown up in privileged circles, usually your social network starts very naturally through your parents, right? Your parents have friends and those friends have kids. And usually your parents, if they're doing well, have a social circle of people that look like them. You know that old adage of you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? That is so true, especially for weight and for income. Can you believe that? It's actually been proven that you are the average weight and you are the average income or net worth of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And the reason for that is because if you are friends with people who are interested in the outdoors and adventuring and hiking and eating well, and they like Patagonia, well, they probably have a set of values and a set of traits and habits that align with yours if that's what you're into. And therefore, you're going to be in relatively the same amount of shape so you can do the same type of hikes together. Do you see what I'm saying? Or if you are an entrepreneur and you're still between the $500,000 and $1 million mark, and you're looking to break 7 figures in revenue next year, it would probably be beneficial for you to network with other people who are just above where you are so that you can average up and you can learn from the things that they've already figured out so that you can grow. So when we talk about proximity to wealth, that's kind of what I mean is you want to get close to where you're going. And actually, this is one of the most common questions that I get from people of how do I network up into a quote unquote better social circle? Well, it's number one by doing a lot of things on this list. Like if you don't have poise, if you are not emotionally regulated, if you don't value other people's time, if you don't see the value in hiring people to help you on your goals, you're probably not going to have a lot in common with the people in the social circles you're trying to network into. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see where I'm going with this? So again, starting from a young age, your parents' social circle really sets the stage. Number 2, your school and your classmates. Now, if you go to a prep school, a private school, typically it takes resources, privilege in order to get into those schools, to pay for those schools. So automatically you're in a higher echelon. And that's why a lot of people send their children to boarding schools, prep schools, to Ivy League colleges. It's not about what you're going to learn there. It's about who you're going to meet. So it's not always comparing apples to apples on the quality of education. Wealthy women are comparing more things. A public school and a prep school are going to have the same subjects taught in the class, but the access and the network might make the investment in the prep school or private school a better ROI than not paying for school at all. Do you see where I'm going? So as you continue to go through your life, education, a lot of us are past that now. Now we're into the professional realm, and being within certain jobs or industries can give you a lot of access, but professional networks can as well. If you're an entrepreneur, like I said, working with business coaches, getting within their networks, being with other business owners who are in your same industry or type of revenue or type of service or whatever that might be is huge. And then the other side of it is just the social networking. I would say the first toe to dip in the water in this is getting into places where people are doing things that you want to do. If you're interested in tech, go to Silicon Valley. If you're interested in jumping horses, go to Del Mar or wherever else they jump horses. I don't even know. If you're interested in sailing, go to the St. Bart's Bucket Regatta. You going to St. Bart's and walking the docks to try to get on a boat, to sail with people, to help them during the regatta, boom, you're in, you're a friend, you're giving value, you're being part of the social circle. You're never going to get into the sailing community if you never go to where people are sailing. So you have to go to where these people are. A lot of ways that you can do this, again, is attending events in different targeted areas. Joining different social clubs is huge. But before I even get into that, going to hotels, going to places where people travel, working in open plan office spaces and being open enough to go talk to people. I will tell you, if you're in LA and you want to meet a young, hot thing that's working, go work in the afternoon at the One Hotel. It is, first of all, such a vibe. It's so cozy. It's so comfortable. But also the people that are working there are all building something, doing something, networking, chitting and chatting. And then 5:30 rolls around and all the girls are coming in looking for their sugar daddies. Okay. It's like there is energy, there is trade, there is stuff happening in there. But that's kind of the old school way, right? Like that's shooting fish in a barrel. If you're going to be strategic about it, joining a specific networking group or social club is going to help curate the type of people that you want to meet so much more efficiently. And what do we care about? We care about time. We love efficiency. So, of course, every city has their own network of private clubs and organizations, whether it's University Club or the reading room in San Diego or whatever it might be. And some of those have very high barriers to entry, which could include anything from high initiation fees or dues, or you need to have referrals from other people who are already in the club. But that doesn't mean that you should be afraid of them. You should actually really, really lean into them. I think that whether it's a golf club, a country club, a tennis club, a dining club, a wine club, it's again going to give you the reps to build your poise and build your network one person at a time. I find it so interesting that this is one of the most common questions that I get because I don't know what it is that people think are going to happen when they get into a higher echelon of friends. In fact, I have one friend that I'm thinking of right now that is extremely, extremely wealthy. And she used to ask me to travel with her when I was single in my 20s and that she would pay for it. It was not because she was a sugar mama, but because she wanted young, fun people to go out and party with her and have a great time. And she still does travel that way with like a posse of younger girls. And of course, her husband and their couples friends too. But like, I know she pays the way for a lot of girls. But what's so funny about that is I was never the girl that wanted to be in a club. I'm not staying up late. I'm going to bed early. I don't want to drink shots. I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to go to club, another club, playing, that's not me. It's not my vibe. But that is not typically what happens when you get into a higher proximity of people. When you get into a higher proximity of people, there's a reciprocation that needs to happen. So I think a lot of people are looking to, if we were going to group people into tiers, jump like many classes up. And I don't mean that in any type of like classist way. I'm just kind of trying to talk abstractly. But if you're going to make it into higher levels of wealth, or you're interested in networking with people who are very, very wealthy, if they're hosting you on their yacht, the expectation is usually reciprocation. So if you don't have a yacht to host on, it gets a little dicey. Now, that's not always true. Not everybody has a yacht. And I'm kind of being facetious here. But the example is if you have a very wealthy friend and you get engaged and they buy you a bottle of Dom Perignon, even if it's just a $345 bottle of wine, what are you going to do when they get engaged if you can't reciprocate? So I would say some reflection here is really interesting. We're not trying to shoot for the moon and get invited onto Jeff Bezos's yacht. What we're trying to do is build meaningful connections with people who are coming up with us. My old boss, the CEO that I used to work for, he told me something that was so helpful for me back in like 2015. He said, when he got to San Diego in 2005, he met this guy in ULI, which is Urban Land Institute. His name was Malcolm. And he was in finance. Brad was in development. They both had nothing to their name, but they stayed friends over the years. And then 15 years later, Malcolm's underwriting the construction loan for a $150 million building that Brad's developing. You keep these people close and you grow with them. So having discernment about who's in your circle and knowing that you want to network with people that are building things, doing things, that to me is so much more important than trying to jump the Saltburn way and fake your way into a social circle that you're not really yet a part of. Okay, hard left turn into number 7. The thing that I believe that wealthy women value that many people don't is education. And what I mean by this is not just having a degree, not just going to college. In fact, I'm not so sure that university is a good investment for everybody these days. And we do know a lot of wealthy women, old money women, are really just going to college for their Mrs. degree, meaning they're looking to go find a man to marry and settle down with. But what I mean by education is a woman who has high value skills and continues to invest in herself. I've said this so many times in the past few weeks, but all of our old money guests, all the guests that I've had on the podcast, every time I ask them, what is the best investment you've made in the rich girl rapid fire questions, they always all say investing in myself. This education can be in building poise, in learning how to be emotionally regulated, or it could be in hiring that expert to help you with whatever goal it is that you're trying to achieve. But wealthy women know that if you're not learning, you're dying. Progress is so integral to the success of the human beings, the species of human beings, that if we are not making progress and we're declining, we are actually in death. So I believe that wealthy women place a very high value on education, not just in the formal sense through a formal education, but in continuing to be educated and continuing to grow in whatever it is they're doing. The eighth item on this list goes hand in glove with that same fact. It's about being disciplined. Wealthy women do the things they say they're going to do. They believe that they will achieve their goals because they are disciplined enough to do them, to do all of the micro actions that are required for them to achieve their goals. And whether that means that they wake up and go to Pilates every Tuesdays and Thursdays, whether they always are responsive to their clients in their inbox, or they're always going to write a thank you letter, no matter what the gift is or the favor they received. Old money women, wealthy women are disciplined. It is part of their makeup. And it's this discipline that gives so much confidence. In business, I've never once considered failing. It's not in me because I only fail if I stop. And I'm so disciplined that I will literally continue to go and be pushed by the drive to be better, not because, also for the drive for creating wealth for myself. Let's not get it twisted. But just the other day, I was up late on like a Friday night working on a strategy for a new client of mine. And he was like, how are you so driven? But it's my business. It's my game to lose. I know that if I can just show up, the results will come. And in fact, I think that same way about going to the gym. I don't overthink it anymore. I don't program any workouts. I don't count any calories. I just know that if I'm conscious to what I'm eating and I don't stuff my face with cookies every day and I show up to the gym and I walk my dog, I'm going to be fine. It's a slight amount of discipline that really helps me stay on track and stay within my clothes. Like I have beautiful clothes. I want to fit in them. So I want to stay the same size. With discipline for work, I just know that I'm going to do it. And so there's no energy wasted in my brain, nor is there any room in my brain spent on wondering if I can do it or not. I don't have any imposter syndrome. I would have imposter syndrome if I was trying to pretend to be somebody that I'm not, but I'm not doing that. I don't waste any time because I just know that if I can break down my goal into micro pieces, and by the way, if you have a really big goal and you don't know how to achieve it, put it into Chat GPT and say, break this down into smaller goals and action items to help me achieve this. Let's say you have a business. Let's say you sell widgets. If you want to make $1 million this year, put into Chat GPT the information about your business, things like how much it costs for you to make your product, how much you sell it for, what your conversion ratio is for your marketing, your click-through rate, your email program, and ask it to build you a plan for how to make $1 million this year. It's not, well, I don't want to say it's not hard. It is hard. It takes a lot of work, but it's simple when you break it down. And if you're disciplined enough to execute on all of the steps that you need to achieve your goal, and you continue to iterate over time, you can't fail. You can't fail. You have to be asking the right questions, selling the right thing, doing whatever. But if you are disciplined, There is no room for talk about what you can or cannot do. You just do it. So old money women, wealthy women, they do the things they say they're going to do, even when it means they made promises to themselves. That is the cornerstone of building confidence. If you say you're going to wake up early every single day, but snooze your alarm for an hour, you're degrading your confidence. So if you are interested in building your discipline, set small goals and keep them. That discipline and that honoring yourself will build that muscle, and it will make sure that you do not fail. But speaking of failing, item number 9, this is such a key that I don't think gets talked about enough. In fact, this was one of the things that I was like, oh my God, I don't know if we've ever talked about this on the podcast, but it is such a cornerstone of my life. And I think it's one of the things that makes successful people. Number 9 is that wealthy women are decisive. They make decisions quickly and they move on. They do not overthink them. They do not ruminate on past decisions. They just always know they can make another decision. And one of the ways that this has shown up in my life and where I learned this was working in real estate. So when I first started at my last job before I started the agency, I was in the acquisitions department of 2 people. And our job was to go all over San Diego County looking for deals that we could turn into multi-million-dollar homes. So we would be looking at old homes that we would have to scrape and then design and rebuild. And we would be at the office so late sometimes because we would have to figure out in a pro forma if that was going to be a successful project or not. If you take too long building your pro forma and figuring out if this is going to be a successful project, by the time you figured it out, somebody else has already bought the land and closed escrow. So you have to be decisive and you have to be confident. The ways that we were really confident in building our pro formas was that we had a lot of data to input to them. And I'm going to wrap this back around to practicality, so hang tight with me. But if I'm going to give you an example, we would know what the cost of construction would be per square foot for a very high-end level of spec home. So based on the lot size, the size that we were able to build on that lot, how high we could build on that lot, if we would have 2 stories or maybe a basement, what the spec level would be, we would have all of these assumptions that would plug into this spreadsheet that would formulate for us what the return potential would be after we paid for the land, the construction, the materials, all that type of stuff, right? And so having all of those things already figured out made our process really, really fast, and it helped us be decisive in our real estate decisions. If you're trying to be more decisive in your own life, one of the ways that I try to do that with myself is I have my values and my standards already decided in my head. For example, hiring somebody. I know right away, based on how they interact with me during a call, if they're going to go into the next meeting. Like if they are able to think on their feet, if they're on time, if they're polished, if they have a good presentation, if they've done research. I have all of these standards that I've set when I'm interviewing somebody that if they don't meet them, I talked to somebody a couple weeks ago that had no idea what our company did. And I'm like, why are you even wasting my time? Like, if you're not going to look up my company and see how you can add value, you don't know what we do. Why am I trying to sell you on working here? Like, sell me on trying to work here. It was an immediate no. I could be really decisive about that. And then I don't think about it again. I don't overthink it and I don't ruminate. And if I make a bad hiring decision, which I have done many times before, you know what I do is I make a new decision. I say, okay, this isn't the right decision for me right now. Do I reorganize this person into a different role? Do I give them a performance improvement plan? Do I let them go and help them find a new role because this is not the right one for them? I can always make new decisions. So wealthy women are very decisive and they usually have standards or patterns or habits or values that guide their decision making. And maybe it's even, how you get dressed in the morning. The more time you waste trying to make a decision, the more energy you expend on something that honestly you can just make a new decision on. So I say that being decisive is one of the key traits of a wealthy woman, and it's something that I would challenge yourself on. So if you're trying to build this muscle, start being more confident with your decisions because you know you're going to figure it out. Decide to not bring the umbrella. If it starts to rain, know that you can buy one or borrow one somewhere else. Do you see what I'm saying? If you're overthinking it, doesn't go with your outfit, whatever, Just move forward. Okay, item number 10 is that old money women do not fall victim to vice. Now, this is contrary to what you might believe if you're reading all of these old money novels and all of these character studies where everybody's drinking a martini at noon. But true 2025 wealthy women do not fall victim to overspending, over drinking, smoking, eating too many processed foods. They are all about temperance and making sure that they're enjoying the positive things in life without going too crazy and falling victim to it. The reason this is so important is because when we let things spiral out of control, well, we lose control. I mean, honestly, like if you're overspending in credit card debt, this goes back to one of our earlier values, which is emotional regulation. Why are you overspending when you know you shouldn't? You're falling victim to habit or to vice and losing control. I think of wealthy women or old money women walking around Palm Beach or walking around Manhattan as very controlled. They're disciplined, right? So when you fall victim to vice and you drink way too much champagne all the time, now the next day that you have is totally wasted. You're not your best self. And wealthy women value feeling good, looking good, being good to themselves. So other than overindulgence in food or smoking or drinking, you can also look at vices like gambling, being dishonest, being lazy, being greedy, being envious, being too prideful, gossiping, being impulsive, or even being negative. All of these vices, these are all things that I think of as falling into old habits, right? Even narcissism or self-centeredness, that's a vice if you think of it in the 10 commandments type of a way. But old money women are not falling victim to those. They are disciplined. They're making sure that they are putting their best foot forward, not just for the rest of the world, but to feel really good about themselves. And to dovetail into that, item number 11 is mindset. Wealthy women know that mindset is everything. And this also goes into this discipline context as well. Like old money women believe in themselves. They know they can be successful and they know that they will be successful because they have the chutzpah to make it happen, right? They're not worried about imposter syndrome. They're not trying to fake it till they make it. They're being authentic. But I'm talking about money mindset. I'm talking about the fact that they don't villainize money. They're not scared of it. They're running with money. They're using it as a tool. They're playing with it. They're not wasting time asking questions like, does money buy happiness? They're like, I don't care because I know that poverty doesn't buy anything. A wealthy woman's mindset is focused on growth and productivity, win-wins. Again, we're going back to that social graces conversation, right? We are really focused on developing and cultivating a healthy and expansive mindset that's going to support us in our growth. We are not wasting time with overthinking or ruminating or entertaining old ideas that we know we need to reprogram. We are confronting our limiting beliefs head on and breaking through them. Part of that is identifying them. And this also goes into the education's conversation as well of part of the education that we can invest in for ourselves is therapy and coaching and personal development. And always improving your mindset is the number one way to continue to win at life. And if you're doing things right, you should always have new challenges or new things that you're adventuring through or trying to figure out whether that's being a great parent or being a great partner or being a great business leader. So there's always more to learn. And there's always, I mean, maybe when you get to the top in the enlightenment, maybe you just learn to care about nothing and you're like Buddha. I don't know. But I really believe that the wealthiest women that I know and the ones, I'm not even talking about wealthy in the bank account. You know what I'm talking about. We're talking about all the levels of wealth, money wealth, time wealth, relationship wealth, freedom wealth, purpose wealth, all the things. They have the best mindsets. They're the most kind, the most positive, the most optimistic, and they're always breaking through new levels in their mind. Item number 12, we have a few more here. This one's my favorite for the season of life that I'm in. Old money women are private. Not only are they not telling you about what they're doing, they're not showing you anything about what's going on in their life unless you're in the inner circle. They're not flaunting. They're not using their Instagram to do their hauls from Hermes. They're just winning in private. You're getting wowed when they're done achieving their goals. They're using their money to make more money, not to show you how much they have. I believe that hot and rich is out for 2025 and classically beautiful and wealthy are in. Privacy is so chic. I love a private moment. And what's so interesting is now with social media, everything is so overexposed. Everybody is everywhere and available all the time. And quite frankly, the luxury of being unavailable is the one that I like the most. Typically in business, I have my calendar link. People can book calls with me, get on my calendar, and I'm pretty available. But when I have my phone on Do Not Disturb, that is when it is my time. When I have my calendar turned off, that is when it is my time and I'm doing whatever I want. I don't post on Instagram stories. I'm not telling anybody what I'm up to. I'm just winning in private. What's so interesting about this and what really differentiates for me old money and new money is that what we see with a lot of people with money is that the one thing you can't buy is fame. So a lot of people are using their money to get notoriety. Like, do you remember the guy in India that got married last year and he had like Beyonce perform and he had like a 5-day huge crazy wedding where Kim Kardashian went and he didn't even know Kim Kardashian, but she got invited to the wedding because they're the wealthiest people in India or in Mumbai or wherever they're from. That to me is buying fame, buying notoriety. We also see it so much on Housewives. And I also think it's what we're seeing right now on Salt Lake City with Bronwyn. Bronwyn and Todd are very wealthy. They roll in very good circles. I would say Sutton on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is also a great indication of this. You can live your life and have a fabulous, well-connected life where you're invited to every party and you're always in the places you want to be. But if no one knows who you are, then people are craving exposure. And so with Bronwyn and Todd, I think they've always had this very regulated, disciplined lifestyle of poise. And all of a sudden, Bronwyn gets on the show and Todd is like, why are you acting like a maniac? And Bronwyn's trying to understand the assignment of what it means to be a real housewife. And Todd does not. And he's confused because it doesn't align with how they've been in their life so far. But the privacy for me is of utmost importance. I wouldn't want anybody watching me, my every move as I'm walking down New York City streets and taking pictures of me looking terrible on a beach in Ibiza. I want privacy. So for me, that is a huge, huge luxury that once you lose it, it's really hard to get it back. So if you're trying to maintain an air of privacy in your own life, I recommend keeping things a little bit closer to the chest. Like we know all the girls on Facebook that comment on their boyfriends being terrible. Don't be that girl. Don't be that girl. Don't complain about your husband online. Please, please, please don't cry on social media. Keeping things private really brings an air of luxury to your life. And again, just quietly show people when you've won without having to post about it on Instagram. You know, that's why I like RIP to high school reunions. Just think about showing up like Romy and Michelle and having invented Post-its. That is the level of privacy that we all aspire to. And then you just show up at your 20-year reunion and you're fabulous. So privacy, item number 12 on this list. 3 more. Number 13, wealthy women are not afraid to ask for what they want, but they're not attached to an outcome. I think this is huge in advocating for yourself and learning how to advocate for yourself. And this also dovetails beautifully into having boundaries, enforcing them, and understanding that your time, your money is valuable and you're going to ask for what you want. For example, if you have a late fee on your card, you're going to call and ask it to be removed. If you want to make dinner plans with somebody, you're going to call and ask them for the dinner. If you want something in a relationship, you're going to clarify with your partner, what are you in this for? Wealthy women are not afraid of the responses because they know that once they have information, they're better off. So whether you're getting that from a partner, somebody in business, a client, stop with all the games. Wealthy women don't play games. They get to the point because their time is money and they want to get the best information that they can so they can make the best decision. be decisive, and then move on. So if you're practicing asking for what you want, start small. If you've never been able to send a dish back at a restaurant, this is your chance. This is your time to shine, baby. I mean, don't send a dish back just to send a dish back, but if it's wrong or if your coffee's wrong, can you advocate for yourself? Advocating for yourself when it's small dollars and it doesn't matter and you're never going to see this barista again, that's a really good way to practice advocating for yourself and asking for what you want. Now, think about it in a higher stakes situation when you're giving birth and you have a birth plan and the nurse that you've never seen before isn't listening to you. You're in an incredibly vulnerable state. Have you practiced asking for what you want or what you need? There is a way to do it with tact, with poise, with social grace, where you're not being demanding. Even if you're under stress, you're still making sure that you are emotionally regulated, but you're calm and you're firm. If you are not comfortable with this, ask for what you want on a small scale. I did this exercise. My dad gave me this idea so many years ago with some of the people on my team. And the scenario was if you took your car to the shop and you took it in for an oil change, and then as you were checking out, they were like, great, so you're all set with your 4 new tires. What would that experience look like for you? Would you say, I didn't come in for 4 new tires, I came in for my oil change? Or would you just pay and go about your merry way? And at the time, the 3 people that I had on my team, they were all Gen Z at the time. I'm not hating on Gen Z. I'm just trying to paint the picture. They all said, I would literally just pay and leave. And then you have all of this emotional dysregulation about how hard it is and what's going on. And they didn't listen to me. And now I'm all upset. And then I spent this money and I wasn't meaning to. You have to learn to advocate for what you want or what you paid for. So you have to learn to say, oh, wow, I'm so sorry. There might have been a miscommunication, but I didn't come in for 4 new tires. I came in to get my oil changed. What can we do to fix this together? You are emotionally regulated. You are using your poise to find a win-win solution. You're taking accountability, but you're also asking for what you want. And quite frankly, you can always find another mechanic. So don't take your car back if they give you 4 new tires and all you needed was an oil change. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's building that muscle again, because an old money woman is not going to just take life lying down. If she wants the Croc Birkin with palladium hardware, she's not going to take the Picotin when that's not what she wants. She's just going to continue to advocate for herself. And that's what I encourage you to do as well. Number 14 on the list, this one is, I almost debated not including it because I didn't want it to be taken the wrong way. But I put number 14 as entrepreneurial. And that doesn't just mean that wealthy women start businesses, because there's a lot of wealthy women out there that have never started a business. Maybe they work in corporate, they're doing very well for themselves, or they're a stay-at-home mom, or whatever their life path is. But what I mean by this is that wealthy women are entrepreneurial in their general approach to solving problems. Being entrepreneurial means having an approach that's characterized by being innovative or creative or taking initiative and having the drive to see things through. They're going to be able to take risks, create value, and that might be in business or in personal projects or within an organization. And I actually thought about this. It was so interesting. I was listening to the Toast back in December when Claudia was doing her fundraiser for the Holocaust Education Remembrance Project or whatever it is. I don't even know. Don't quote me on it. It's a cause that's really near and dear to my heart. My grandmother was a prisoner of war in Indonesia in World War II and suffered a lot in that process. And it breaks my heart to know that Holocaust education is being lost. Hers was kind of a different scenario, but nonetheless, it's a cause that's near and dear to my heart. So she's trying to raise money for it, right? And she was soliciting for larger donations. And Jackie, her co-host sister, said, "Oh, I'll just go halvesies with you. I'll pay 5,000, you pay 5,000." And she's like, yeah, we'll do that. But also, that's not the point. People that are on boards of philanthropies or groups or whatever it is, whatever the organization is, they could probably write the check, but that's not the point. The point is to go out into the community and sell the charity or garner activity from people outside of their immediate circle of influence. It takes me back to Shannon Bedore with her whole, I start charities. I forget who she was yelling that at on Real Housewives of Orange County. But, when you're on the board, you can donate all day long, but that's not the point. The point is you throw the event, you make it creative, you make it memorable, you create something that people want to attend and will want to spend money on. You get the donations for the silent auction. You're entrepreneurial in the fact that you're going to get out there, be innovative and creative, and get something done. So being entrepreneurial doesn't necessarily mean that you're just starting a business. It means that you're willing to put yourself out there, create some value, that you're going to be resourceful. You're going to look for opportunities. You're going to take a leadership role, whether again, in business, in a personal organization or a personal project, and you're going to have that mindset. In fact, I think that mindset is one of the most attractive, most valuable qualities that you can bring to a group or organization, which is why these wealthy women are so great at throwing parties. You know what I mean? So the last thing on my list here, item number 15, wealthy women enjoy the sweetness of life. I know I mentioned it before, but when I reference a wealthy woman or old money woman, and we have these ideas in our head about the characters that we know from TV, movies, or books, or we have this idea that it's somebody who has a lot of money in her investment accounts. That's not really what I mean by a wealthy woman. A wealthy woman is well-rounded in many different ways. But one of the ways she's the most well-rounded is she has great taste in the sweetest things of life, because she knows that this game that we're playing of building wealth, it's not just about stacking cash. And it's certainly not about being miserly or frugal. It's about working really hard and indulging without falling victim to vice, indulging in things that make our lives sweet. When I was in Chicago last year, we were there for work, but I took a day off. Justin was there for a summit, and I took a day off, and I took myself to the Peninsula Hotel. It is such an iconic hotel in Chicago. It's one of my favorites. And I took myself for a spa day and lunch. And I was in the locker room getting ready for my massage and my facial. And there was two women in there because it's also a membership club. You can join the gym at the Peninsula, right? So there's two women that were just getting out of a class together. And it was in November. So they were saying, oh, what are you doing for the holidays? And one woman was like, oh, I'm hiking Mount Kilimanjaro. And the other one was like, oh, I'm going to St. Bart's. And again, talking about getting in the right social circles, being a member at the Peninsula Hotel is a great place to be to network with old money women. But they were both older women, and they were talking about how their kids were now out of college and moving on to a different phase of their life and how that transition was. And yes, I was totally eavesdropping, but we were all basically naked within a 5 square foot radius. So how could I not? Anyway, they were talking about being empty nesters and how they were really enjoying the travel and the experience of this new stage of their life. And meanwhile, I'm there totally indulging in my day and taking myself to the spa and then sitting at their indoor pool on the, 38th or whatever it is floor, I don't remember. And then taking myself to lunch and having my same thing I always get, fries, a salad with protein, and a glass of champagne. That is my old money lunch. That is my perfect day. A day at the spa, a day by the pool, and a day with a good book and a good lunch. And I was really enjoying the moment. And I remember I walked back on Michigan Avenue. It started to snow, and I shopped here and there and went in and out of the shops. And I was just having the best day. And it was absolutely an indulgence of a day. And I took a day off to do it. But if I would have just worked the whole time that I was in Chicago and didn't create that moment for myself, I didn't savor the sweetness of that trip in November when it was just starting to snow, what would it have been for? I had that amazing moment. I saw those amazing women, and they expanded my mindset about what's possible for me when I get to that age, and that I'd love to do a spin class at the Peninsula Hotel, but probably want to live in Chicago. I'm not good with the cold. My point is that old money women enjoy the sweetness. And maybe that for you looks like date nights with your partner. Maybe it looks like that expensive bottle of wine. Maybe it looks like a trip to the gym. Maybe it means getting into bed with a good book. Maybe it means being a collector of mini Kellys. I don't know what that means to you, but old money women knows that the sweetness of life is why we're living. This is all just a game, and life is just too short to not make it sweet. So whatever that is that feels good for you, we are all goal-driven, ambitious, hardworking women that are probably too hard on ourselves. And we are trying to embody all 15 of these high-value women traits, or whatever we're calling them, wealthy women traits. But at the end of the day, it's up to us to create the sweetness in our lives. And so I encourage you in this month that's all about goals and planning and setting up the rest of your year and being optimized and going to the gym every day. Can you find some sweetness? Can you create that for yourself? This is my sweetness. Being here on this podcast with you is my sweetness. Being creative with you is my sweetness. Being in this community is my sweetness. Also going to the spa. I think I might book something for myself, but anyway, I love you guys so much. Let me know what you thought about this episode. If you have not yet gone to our Apple Podcast page and left a 5-star review and a note about why you love this podcast, if you could be so kind to go do that and or screenshot this, put it on your Instagram story, tag me at Old Money Podcast, share this episode with a friend. I think it's a good way to start off the new year in the right mindset. I hope you're feeling so wealthy today, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Feeling rich? I hope so. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Old Money. If you have questions you want answered, email me at oldmoneypodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on social. We are at Old Money Podcast, and I am at your service. If this episode spoke to you, inspired you, helped you, if you took a single note, it would mean the world to me if you could please just take a minute to rate and review the podcast. And if you're not doing so already, subscribe. And if you have friends who like getting rich, please share this episode with them, even if it's just on your Instagram story. And I'd love you more than Jeff Bezos loves Amazon Prime. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you on the next episode. Remember, I'm not your lawyer, I'm not your tax professional, and I'm not your financial advisor. The content presented in this podcast is intended to entertain, educate, inspire, and support listeners in their personal and professional development and does not constitute business, financial, or legal advice. In addition to that, this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products and services.